So, okay, let's have a look at relative pronouns. We're going to have a look at a couple that you already know. That's who, which, that, leaving it out, and whose. But we also need to look at two different ones. That's where and when, and we've never looked at those before. So the first five we'll go over super quick, and then I'll zoom in a little bit more on where and when. If you already remember everything up to whose, feel free to fast forward in the video. Alright, here we go. So first of all, what was a relative pronoun again? A relative pronoun was a way you could combine sentences. So for instance, if you have two loose sentences like Miss Milty is wearing pink trainers and she's a teacher, you could combine the two with a relative clause construction, making it into Miss Milty, who is a teacher, is wearing pink trainers. The word who is then the relative pronoun that introduces the relative clause, de relatieve bijzin, betrekkelijke bijzin, is a teacher. Okay, well, that's something we've already gotten to know earlier this year. We then looked at a couple of these relative pronouns. The first one we looked at was who was used to refer back to a person, we said. So the extra information you give in the relative clause refers to a person. So Miss Milty, who is a teacher, is a teacher is about Miss Milty. Miss Milty is a person. Yes, I am a person. You might doubt it sometimes. So you use who at the start of your relative clause. Then we looked at which, and which we use when it's not a person, so an object, or maybe it's a concept. She really likes chocolate. Which is the tastiest treat in the world? Is the tastiest treat in the world is about chocolate. Chocolate is not a person, so we use which. We also learned about that, and we learned that as long as there are no commas around the relative clause, we can replace both who and which with that. So the lady that's always friendly was now really nasty can be with that because there's no comma around the extra information clause. That is always friendly. And the same thing goes for the chocolate sentence that you can read right there to, was that your right? I think so. Okay. Then we learned about leaving out the pronoun. Sometimes we just don't need a pronoun at all. But that could only be done if the relative clause, so the extra information sentence, had its own subject. Als de betrekkelijke bijzin een eigen onderwerp had. Do you know the girl Tom is talking to? Tom is talking to is our relative clause here. Extra information sentence about the girl. The bit Tom is talking to has got its own subject, Tom, so we can leave it out. Just a reminder, there was a special symbol for it, and that symbol you can see right there in that picture, the little circle with the line through it. Okay, the last one we learned about was whose, and we learned that whose is used when in Dutch we use wien and wir. So basically it says who owns it. So we use it, for instance, to say Miss Milty, whose chocolate was stolen, is furious. And that would make me very furious, actually. I was the owner of the chocolate. I see I've misspelled chocolate right away. It's chocolate with an extra O. And now someone took it away from me. So whose was that one? Okay, now let's go to our new ones because that's what we're here for after all. Let's go and look at the first one. The first one is when. We can use when the extra information in the relative clause refers back to a time. So for instance, last night when I went to the cinema, I went to bed far too late. Well, last night is a time here, so I may introduce with when rather than using which here. Would have made it really awkward. In Dutch we would probably use toen in this case. Gisteravond toen ik naar de bioscoop ging, and you wouldn't so much use die here or something like that. That's when. We also have where, and where is not surprisingly the one that we use to refer to places. This is the house where I grew up. Dit is het huis waarin ik ben opgegroeid. There is a big danger with this one. The word waar in Dutch is quite often used for other things than places. And whenever it doesn't refer to a place, you have to use which in English. Consider the sentence, dit is de film waar ik graag over praat. The waar there doesn't refer back to a place, it refers to the film, which is a thing. So in English, you need to translate this one with, this is the film which I like to discuss, and not with where. So please be very careful with the use of where, because it can go wrong quite easily. So those are the ones that we had to discuss for today. It's important that you know that there are two more out there, that's what and why, but we will not deal with them right now. We'll leave those for a later date. The exercises that I assigned you from the book will include where and when, so good luck with that one, and I'm sure you can do it. But if you have any questions, please, please, please email me or ask me to Teams webcam with you, I guess that's what we call it, or we call each other, and that's absolutely fine as well. All right, good luck and bye-bye.